Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Wednesday, March 27th. So we had the moon in Libra go void, of course, at 7:10 p.m. last evening. We're already in this void. We'll be locking into Scorpio energy at 5:04 a.m. early here Wednesday morning. So we have a lot going on. The transition from Libran energy to Scorpio energy is always felt because we're moving out of the, let's call it airy intellectual side of trying to balance and process our emotions to the actual feeling part of what needs to be felt in order to actually heal said emotions. Yes, we're still very much in the eclipse window, so everything is just kind of supernatural at this particular point. There's a mysterious edge to everything. We are hypersensitive. We're picking up on more subtle energies from our environment than ever before. And with the moon in Scorpio energy, we not only are doing a deep dive in our emotions, in our passions, in our desires, but we have our detective hats on. We are looking to unearth the blockages, the challenges within us. We are looking to do the shadow work, if you will, in order to flip the script, to empower us, to put us in a placement of control over our thoughts, over our emotions. The Scorpio energy is going to attempt to unify, to merge the divisional parts within us. Of course, a couple of days ago, we had the moon in Virgo. That was a processing type of energy, really kind of sorting out what needs to stay, what needs to go. We had the moon in Libra really show us where it is that we have to balance those two particular parts within ourselves. The Scorpio energy is going to merge those parts together, returning us to a state of wholeness. And of course, this is why we go through the emotional and spiritual change and transformation under the Scorpio influence. So there's definitely a lot going on. There are 8 different aspects taking place here today. 7 of them are going to involve the moon. While the moon is still very much in Libra energy, but still in the void, we are going to have a very difficult interaction with Neptune in Pisces energy. So basically what we're getting here is a disconnect, a detachment, if you will, to our higher selves, to our intuition. We are overwhelmed with all of the options, all of the comings and goings of thoughts, of ideas, of understanding what it is that we're moving on from, not quite certain what it is that we're moving into. And therefore, there is a state of confusion. There's also a state of feeling overwhelmed. The scales, again, Libran energy, definitely not in balance at this particular point. Emotionally speaking, we're in one place, but we can't really grasp the deeper meaning, the purpose at this particular point for these particular emotions and circumstances. Thus, not really feeling in alignment with that Neptune in Pisces energy. The moon is then going to make a very awkward interaction with Saturn, the Lord of Karma, ruling over our roles, responsibilities, systems, structures, willpower, discipline. We have Saturn in the Pisces energy as well, really breaking down old ways of believing in life, in ourselves, and what we're capable of. Really kind of deconstructing this old version of self, and therefore the old realm that old version of self had created. And in the space of the things that are falling apart, we are building something new, something strong, something that's going to be around for the long term. But this interaction is just putting a lot of weight on our heart space. We are feeling the crunch, so to speak. We're feeling the pressure, so to speak, especially where relationship dynamics are concerned, because that's the whole mission, the whole purpose of that full moon lunar eclipse in Libran energy, is to recognize who and what needs to stay and who and what needs to go, and where it is that we have to tweak those relationship interactions in order to create a state of fairness. Now, this is going to bring us a harsh reality check. It's going to put us in a little bit of a Debbie Downer, negative Nancy, woe is me, poor little me, victimhood mentality narrative, because we are approaching the precipice peak point of actually having to do what it is that we know that we have to do. We're actually building to the point of action. And so again, we're still in this eclipse tunnel. We are going to have a lot of curveballs thrown our way. And this particular interaction is just illuminating for us where it is that we're feeling the weight of the world on our shoulders, and where it is within us that the scales are definitely not balanced. It is at this point in time that we are going to see the moon shift into Scorpio energy, 5:04 a.m., again, Eastern Standard Time. A couple of hours later, the very first thing that the moon in Scorpio is going to do is get into the boxing ring and fight it out with Pluto. Pluto rules over the Scorpio energy. Yes, Pluto, the great transformer himself in Aquarius energy, really trying to show us in a visionary form what it is that we could do better, where it is that we can improve, where it is that we have to kind of boss up and realize that some of the old situations and circumstances were divinely scripted in order to push us into our power. But the moon, emotionally speaking, getting into the boxing ring and fighting it out with Mr. Pluto is going to highlight for us the tension, the conflict, where we're not feeling settled, where we're not feeling content, where we're not feeling so happy-go-lucky, peachy keen. Again, reminder, Scorpio energy needs to transform the darkness into light, the pain into power. The Plutonian energy needs to take us on a deep dive in our psyche to examine the programming, the conditioning of our mental plane. Why we think the way that we think, why we feel the way that we feel, why we perceive situations and circumstances in the way that we do. This is an attempt to really put us in an uncomfortable situation and circumstance in our inner realms in order for us to flip the script, boss up, turn that pain into power, and again, really understand where it is that we have more power and control over our emotions, over our mental plane, and over our circumstances than we've been led to believe. The moon is then going to trine, beautiful interaction with Mars. Mars is the other ruler over Scorpio energy, co-ruler, if you will. And Mars, of course, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desire, even our anger, is in Pisces energy. Up and down, back and forth, trying to get aligned with a new mission, new quest, new purpose, new inspiration, new motivation. We're trying to restore and renew our spiritual selves. So this particular interaction is a beautiful one because this is going to help us tap into our creativity, tap into our power, tap into our ability to transmute the darker energies into something better. This is a beautiful, I'm going to say, interaction to help us feel intuitively aligned, spiritually guided, especially with receiving insights on what it is that we have to actually build, create, bring into form, bring into life, bring into reality over the next couple of weeks. Now, granted, there is a lot of emotion surging. Again, passion, desire are main key words for the moon in Scorpio, let alone Mars. And we are looking for a little bit of extra spice, a little bit of extra drama, if you will, which could work in our favor. However, if we are projecting from wounded self, we're going to start stirring the pot in ways that we're not ready for. Again, eclipse energy, expect the unexpected, wild card events coming at us all the time. And if you are projecting from a dark place, from a wounded self, you are going to stir the pot, create some drama, create some spice that essentially will be burning your eyes out once it's all said and done. Now, there is an energy operating from our healed self, our creative force energy, where we can spice things up. We can stir the pot, creating a little bit of drama, inspiration, excitement in ways that's going to stimulate us and kind of fulfill that want, need, and desire to break away from the boredom. So be very careful with how you allow that particular energy to manifest, because we are full of emotional wants, needs, and desires, and definitely feeling like we need to break away from the mundane, from the boredom. The moon in Scorpio then going to make a very positive interaction with Neptune in his place of power in this Pisces energy. Again, this is another interaction where our intuition is coming in strong. We are feeling in alignment with our higher selves, where we are gaining clarity through vision, through insight, through aha moments on what it is that we want to do, what it is that we want to pursue. We're picking up a lot of clarity through the energetic realm. So you may not have tangible, actual proof and evidence here in this physical realm of these certain aha moments and epiphanies, but you best believe that if you are heart aligned and listening to your intuition, that you will be receiving a lot of profound insights that are totally going to change the game, restore, renew this, I'm going to say, spiritual cup that has been not really been taken care of over the last little bit. We're kind of filling ourselves up in ways, preparing ourselves for a major shift, a major change in pursuing something new, something that is divinely scripted, something that our higher self needs us to pursue for our soul's potential, for our soul's evolution. Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires, even our anger, in this Pisces energy, going to semi-square, creating a little bit of tension and conflict with Chiron, the wounded healer in Aries energy. So let's just say that we're feeling a little bit restless. We could definitely dip into the agitated, frustrated, angered type of state very easily at this point. So we have to kind of watch ourselves. Again, Mars, typically speaking, not so great with resisting the urges to act on impulse. We have a hard time managing our energy with Mr. Mars. And so to kind of, rip the band-aids off and expose some of the wounds that we've been trying very hard to heal, this could set us back a couple of steps if we're not careful. Just kind of realize that right now we're having a hard time tapping into that warrior type of energy. We're having a hard time standing up for ourselves. We're having a hard time standing up for what we believe in. We are not comfortable in this new version of self. And again, Mars being in this Pisces energy is the reason why we're taking the warrior energy out of Mars that he's naturally kind of dominant in, and why we're avoiding confrontation like the plague. That's what the Pisces energy is, the avoidant escapism type of quality. And so there is this energy where we're just we're going with the flow, but we're going with the flow in a way that is taking us out of our power and away from what it is that we want, need, and desire within ourselves. And it's really hard for us to use our voice and advocate for ourselves. It feels very uncomfortable to do so in this energy, which of course is going to lead to difficulties. We're having a hard time expressing our true want, our needs, our desires. We're having a hard time expressing our anger. We're having a hard time doing anything in a straightforward approach like Mars is used to doing, because again, that Pisces energy kind of muddies things up a bit, makes it a little bit vague, makes everything a little bit confusing, and kind of, if I do say so myself, snuffs the fire energy out of Mars, makes him a little bit more emotional than he prefers to be. And so that is going to put us in a situation where we are essentially being challenged, but if we are being challenged in a way to stand our ground and we're failing to do so, then we're doing ourselves a huge disservice, and going with the flow and trying to fit into other people's, let's say, molds or expectations of what we think that they want us to do is only kind of decreasing the amount of power that we're able to step into. So of course, we want to resist those particular situations at all costs. The moon in Scorpio then going to make an awkward interaction with Venus. Venus is the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money. She is also in Pisces energy. She's up, she's down, she's back, she's forth. She's trying to cleanse herself, purify herself as she attempts to move into her new cycle, which she will move into when she moves out of Pisces energy and into Aries energy, which is going to be an absolute game changer for all of us. We need that Aries energy to kind of bring us back to life, to make us a little bit more aggressive, to stand our ground, to really advocate for ourselves, and to establish our new wants, needs, and desires. But of course, we're not there yet. We have to float through this Piscean energy, which is about endings, and it is about preparing for beginnings. And the moon being in this water energy of Scorpio, and Venus being in the Pisces energy, which of course is water energy as well, this is going to highlight for us the not so nice thoughts, the not so nice feelings, the, let's call it isolation, the discontentment, the realization where we want more for ourselves, especially out of relationship dynamics, what we're not getting, and therefore putting us in a situation to kind of conjure up a new vision, new goal, new dream of what it is that we would be, I'm going to say, prefer to be experiencing in comparison to this. And what this is going to do is going to bring up all the darkness. Why? Because the moon is in Scorpio. We have to acknowledge the darkness in order to turn it into light. We have to acknowledge the pain in order to alchemize it into a placement of power. What we're doing right now is kind of grieving, let's say, the potential that we thought that some relationship dynamics and circumstances overall were going to be for us. There is a lot of realizing at this particular point that, you know what, things are just not panning out the way that we had hoped. People are not the kinds of people that we thought that they actually were. And again, may I remind you, we just anchored in this new version of self, and with that comes a major change of heart where new wants, needs, and desires are finally being realized. But again, in that realization, we are also realizing that we have a huge responsibility to boss up, to actually declare what it is that we're not happy with, to ask for what it is that we desire in the place of the things that are not fulfilling the voids within us. And of course, that's a scary thing to do, to be responsible and accountable for your own damn happiness. And so we have to sit in this funk. Again, may I remind you, we have to sit in the funk, especially with the moon in Scorpio, in order to make a major change and transformation in our inner realm. This is what it's all about. But we have to acknowledge the dark parts in order to change and transform them into something better. The last thing that we have going on here today is the moon in Scorpio energy making a tough interaction with the sun in Aries energy. So Scorpio energy, Aries energy, what do they have in common? Well, Mars. Mars rules over the Aries energy, co-rules over the Scorpio energy. And because the moon and the sun coming together is always in an aha moment of an emotional awareness, a new want, new need, new desire, we have to sit in the uncomfortability. Yep, another Marleyism. Put that in your dictionary. We have to sit in the uncomfortability in order to actually gauge what it is that we no longer want to experience. And the moon being in the Scorpio energy is picking things apart. Again, we have our detective hats on with the moon in Scorpio. We're picking things apart. We're trying to dissect things, especially emotionally speaking. The sun is over here shining a bright light in the Aries energy on where it is that this new identity wants to come out to play, where it is that we do want to jump into something new, where we do want to initiate a new cycle, where we want to put ourselves first. And coming out of the full moon, lunar eclipse, and Libra energy that we just had, that we're still sitting in, we realize where it is that we've been giving other people too much power in our lives, giving them the starring role of the movie that is us. The moon in Scorpio realizes this and is like, whoa, we can't continue to do this. We got to reel it in. But now I need to see inside of me the parts inside of me that are allowing this situation to take form. Because again, the relationship that you have with yourself is a direct mirror, if you will, in your external realm of the relationship dynamics that you have with other people. If you don't have strong boundaries within yourself, you're not going to have strong boundaries with the relationship dynamics of other people. So this is like okay, we understand what is not favorable, what we do not enjoy, what we do not want to continue to experience. But now, instead of making the changes out in the outer realm to kind of rectify these particular aspects and decisions, there's no point in doing that unless we address the wound within ourselves that allow us to continuously give our power away to other people. So again, this new identity coming out to play, but we have to restructure the boundaries within this new identity so that we do not fall victim to the same past patterns and behaviors that we are in the current situation of realizing we've gotten ourselves in a muddy situation yet again because we had weak ass boundaries. We've given too much power away to other people. It's time to rein that in, reel that back, stand in our own power, and actually do what is best for ourselves first and foremost. This is a major shift that needs to take place, a major transformation that needs to take place in our inner realms, in our emotional realms, in our spiritual realms, first and foremost, before we're going to see that particular energy be mirrored in our exterior realm.